Hey there, everyone. We'll get started here momentarily. Just want a few more people to trickle on in before we get rolling. We're definitely going to discuss our system tonight into tomorrow, how much warm air it's going to bring, the winds, the rain. But what I first wanted to do was talk about the fog that we've been dealing with all week long, why it has happened, the types of fog, and also if we have any other foggier days on the way. Because we are getting some rain and some warmer temperatures tonight. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Let's jump right into the usual two types of fog. There are multiple types of fog: freezing fog, ice fog, hail fog. But the usual two types of fog that we see 90% of the time, even you can get lake fog when it's colder outside in the fall and we have warmer water temperatures. That can lead to some fog. But what we've been seeing the last couple of days has come from radiation fog and also advection fog. The radiation fog is when we had those clear nights, like last night. It wasn't all that windy. We weren't seeing any of that moisture being pushed on in last night. So we had that moisture at the surface. We had the clear skies, which led to that heat going up into space, and all of that cooler air actually condensed and formed into the fog. So that's what's happened last night. When we moved earlier in the week, it was a mixture of two. We had some radiation fog and also advection fog. When we have those warmer, moist conditions moving over the colder ground, we've had the frozen ground, we have snow melt, things like that. That's going to lead to fog developing. As that warmer air moves over the colder ground, it starts to cool itself, and it cools itself down to where it's saturated and it becomes fog. It's like a cloud at the surface. So the last couple nights have been kind of a mixture of both. Now, what is super fog? Now, this is both radiation and advection fog. It can happen in both. But when we have high pressure, not likely going to happen, during the winter, but in the summer, if we had some wildfires happening in the state of Michigan, or we even had some of the wildfire smoke out west or off to our north coming on in, and we had fog developing, the smoke actually mixes with the fog and can make visibility even worse. And that's because we have strong capping from high pressure up above, which is a ridge of high pressure. When we have those hot days and we have enough moisture at the surface, that can lead to some super fog, which brings visibility down to about zero when you have the fog mixing in with the smoke. These three are what we have seen before. Now, there has been ice fog, there has been lake fog, there's also been hail fog before. Hail fog is when we have the warm, moist conditions, we have the hail, which is cold, falling down. It allows for that air to actually get colder. It condenses, forms the fog as that happens. So multiple types of fog, but what we had the last couple of days was advection fog and also radiation fog. We are not going to have any fog tonight or tomorrow, just not good conditions for that to occur, but definitely lower visibility as a result of the rain showers. We have a steadier band of rain coming on through. We'll see a second wave of rain, that wave that is near Chicago, that'll come through later on tonight. And then we'll have a third round of rain with the cold front that is back down towards Iowa and also Missouri. It's a very strong low that is spinning around Kansas City and Omaha. On the northern side, wintry weather, of course. On the southern side, where we are going to be warm, rainy, and also very windy. We have increased the wind potential with this wave coming on in over the last 24 hours. So there may be a wind advisory that is issued tomorrow. If that is not the case, there could still be some 45-mile-per-hour gusts that come on in later on in the morning as that cold front rushes on through. The temperatures right now, they range from the mid-30s off to the north, where we still had enough clearing and not a lot of moisture to really trap some of that warmer air in, to the upper 40s near Interstate 69, where we have some higher humidity. We had the extra clouds come in earlier on, and we also have more of a southerly wind that's continuing to push some of that warmer air on into our southern spots. All in all, everyone is going to continue to see those heavier rain showers, which we do have some light to moderate rain ongoing here into Shiawassee and Genesee counties. Lapeer, you're seeing more of a light rain to just some drizzle. And the same thing is happening here into the Thumb, where our temperatures are mainly in the low to mid 40s. Steadier band of rain from Mount Pleasant to Breckenridge and Chesaning and St. Charles. This is going to moisten up the atmosphere, really get it primed for those heavier rain showers and maybe even a rumble of thunder later on tonight. Further off to the north towards US 10, we're in the low to mid 40s. Then, as you see, mid to upper 30s up here. We're not concerned about any freezing rain, freezing drizzle, as those temperatures are going to steadily increase thanks to these winds coming out of the south. Right now, we have some gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour, and then they will actually increase with that second band of rain that's near Chicago. Winds are really going to get going with that wave as the low pressure settles just off to our north. This is going to come in with some very warm and humid conditions, so a rumble of thunder or two is a possibility, but definitely some 30 to maybe even 40 mile per hour gusts overnight closer to midnight. They settle down a little bit into early tomorrow morning, but then the morning commute is where we could have some gusts 35 to 45 miles per hour. And those winds stay strong into the afternoon before really wrapping themselves up in the evening. So we'll have a few hours of stronger winds morning and afternoon tomorrow where they could reach upwards of 45 miles per hour. Of course, that would be a wind advisory, but if the National Weather Service doesn't think those types of winds or that level of wind will be ongoing for a long period of time, they're not going to issue a wind advisory. The amount of rain, it's generally going to be around 1/2 of an inch in most cases, some a little bit lower, some a little bit higher. In our northern spots where we get a steadier band of rain to set up, could see upwards of an inch coming on through. That band of rain that we mentioned near Chicago, Milwaukee, that'll be knocking on our doorstep and even into our western communities by 10, 11 o'clock. It'll stream on through overnight. We'll see a few hours of dry conditions early morning into the morning commute. Then with that cold front between about 6 and 9 a.m., we have additional light showers and those stronger winds. Then we are clear for the rest of the day. Doesn't mean we're going to get sunny on our Friday, but we will have drier conditions in the afternoon and evening, lots of clouds. We will clear those skies out a bit overnight Friday, but then on the heels of this first wave, on that cold front, we are going to see another wave of low pressure spinning on up. And this is going to give us some wintry weather in those colder temperatures on Saturday. It looks like it's transitioning to mainly snow, but initially when that first wave of precipitation happens in the afternoon, could have some rain to sleet to snow. And then it's mainly going to be snow after that. So most of the afternoon and evening, it will be snow. And then we'll see some of that colder air wrapping back on in Sunday to give us additional snow showers. The amount of snow on Saturday, it's generally going to be about an inch or two with the warmer ground. That's going to limit the snowfall accumulation, mainly to the roofs, the cars, the grass. The roadways will likely pick up an accumulation later on in the day, but I wouldn't say an inch or two is expected on the streets, the sidewalks, your driveway. Probably just a dusting to an inch because those warmer ground temperatures are going to effectively melt that until it cools down enough to support an additional accumulation. There may be upwards of 3 inches of snowfall towards US 127 along and north of US 10 because you are further removed from that low. You'll be a bit colder, and we will likely see the best snowfall potential in your community. It's definitely going to be weather whiplash tomorrow from 57, which will be a record high temperature at 7 a.m. on Friday, down to 29 with that wind chill at 7 p.m. So just a 12-hour span that we're moving about 30 degrees with how it feels outside. We don't have a wind chill at 57 degrees. It'll feel like 57 even with some of those stronger winds, but when we get down into the 30s by 7 p.m., definitely could have some of those wind chills right around freezing. There's that step down in our temperatures across the southern community, 57, 7 a.m. to 37 at 7 p.m. We will have some rain showers in the morning, cloudy in the afternoon and evening, some drier conditions overnight. We'll go from the mid-50s here into the thumb down to the 30s by the end of the day. 50s as well here in our central communities, already down to 43 by noon. Temperatures definitely crashing throughout our Friday from the warm conditions in the morning down to winter conditions later on in the day. Then we go into mainly snow on Saturday afternoon and evening, some ice and rain possible early on. It's just a chance of snow Sunday, then mostly cloudy skies. Can't rule out some snow on Monday, but we only have a 20% chance, so we're not going to mention it or highlight it in our forecast. Then we get into a chance of rain and snow on Tuesday, chance of snow Wednesday. That's going to come with another Arctic front. We've been somewhat mild recently. We're going to get another Arctic front to settle on in during the day on Wednesday. So falling temperatures Wednesday down to only 23 for the high on Thursday. And if you guys have any questions about the forecast, about tonight's rain, about tomorrow's wind, about the temperatures, things like that, or even the amount of snow that your community may see over the weekend, feel free to leave those comments down below. I'll continue to leave this up, but I do want to go back to the wind potential. I'll show you this wind graph here in a moment, because I think that will be the most impactful thing about our forecast tonight into tomorrow. You can see right at 7 a.m., we're seeing those gusts 30 to 35, reaching 35 to 45 from the late morning into the early afternoon, then quickly receding and getting down to just minimal winds by the end of the day. That's going to limit our cold wind chill potential. But regardless, some of those gusts, 45 miles per hour, could definitely bring down some small limbs, and we may have some isolated power outages. But that should be kept to a minimum because we didn't see too many outages when we had 50 to 60 mile per hour winds earlier last week. So I would say some 45 mile per hour winds may push your high profile vehicle around a little bit more. You may have some furniture outside, or if you haven't taken down your decorations just yet from the holidays, those might be in some trouble. Maybe even if you have trash day tomorrow, those trash cans, trash bins, the recycle bins could be in a different spot than where you put them earlier in the day or even tonight, especially when all of the heavy garbage and recyclables are removed. So only rainfall tonight. We're done with the rain by 11 a.m. We've got dry conditions the rest of our Friday. May have a few rays of sunshine by the end of the day. And then we get into another snow chance on Saturday. Some colder air wrapping back in on Sunday with additional snowfall at that point in time. We'll put the 7-day forecast back on up, and we'll leave it up for another minute before we wrap up our video. All right, everyone, as always, I appreciate you joining me each and every Thursday. If you're new here, we do this show every Thursday to give you a rundown of the upcoming forecast. We tell you something interesting about the weather, like we did early in the video about the fog and why it was occurring so much this week. We'll be back next Thursday. We're actually going to have a little bit of a special report next Thursday about a fun spot you can visit throughout the year. So we'll show you that then. And of course, we'll talk more about the forecast in depth as we get into some colder temperatures. Next Thursday, you can see a high of 23. Definitely going to be a lot colder than it is tomorrow when we get up to 57 degrees. As always, I appreciate you joining me. We'll be back next week with another edition.